It's another beautiful Sunday afternoon. This is Rubbin Minds. Welcome. My name is Ebuka Obiuchene. Thanks a lot for joining us. If you live in Lagos, I hope you recovered from the traffic yesterday. It was quite something, wasn't it? I saw people on social media saying they were still on the roads about 3 a.m. It is interesting because this happens every December. We get an influx of people coming into the town and we have to grapple with all of that. But schools have closed. So hopefully then, from tomorrow, things should hopefully get a little easier and the roads will be more motorable going forward. But to the rest of Nigeria, thanks for joining us. December is here. Christmas is fast approaching. There's a lot of excitement in the air. I know we still don't have our hands on a lot of chickens yet because the borders were closed and Christmas should be about eating chicken, but I don't know what's going to happen with that. Hopefully, we'll get some pieces before then for wherever you are and enjoy the holidays as they come. But today we're going to be talking about something that's very, very dear to my heart, something that's very important that should be to you as well. Talking about inclusion in Nigeria, specifically talking about the physically challenged. And I don't know that the word disability is a very interesting word now for a lot of people, but we're going to be talking about that with two of my guests here today, and they'll be putting us through a lot of their challenges and what they will want to see, hopefully from 2020. You know, Vision 2020 was a landmark document, and we're there already. I have here with me Dolapo Agbede and Olawale Dada. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I want to talk about the word disability now. And is this still a politically correct term to use? I know you are visually impaired, if I'm right.
Yes.
Yes, and you're an engineer.
Yes.
So is the word still acceptable?
It depends on the context in which you're saying it. So before we used to have terms like disabled person or but today, the correct way to say it is a person with disability because a person is a human being first.
Yeah.
And then the condition is the secondary thing.
Okay.
It should no longer define who a person
So
is.
not a disabled person.
No. So rather a person with disability, because all it does is to define the kind of support you would need to be the very best of what you want to do.
Okay. Just talking a little personal with you now. You are visually impaired. Was this from birth or did something happen?
Okay, so for me, I transited into disability 12 years ago.
Okay.
Medical, well, it was a mix of medical negligence in our amazing country. There was also the part of not knowing enough of what my background was. So, I mean, there's some conditions that are hereditary because glaucoma, which is what was going on with me, is a hereditary disease, and it's a black man's disease. And basically what it does is it steals your vision by disrupting or destroying your optic nerve. So hopefully your eyes are working well. Hopefully your brain should be working well. But when the pipe in between does not pass the message, that's what glaucoma does.
So you were wrongly diagnosed or you were not diagnosed on time?
So with the combination of not knowing my medical background properly, so I wasn't asking the right questions. Then again, there was also the part of going into the care centers and telling them my symptoms, and they did not also refer me to the right places. So this is an opportunity to please put it out there. Please always go and have your eyes checked. Go to ophthalmologists. Request for your eye pressures to be taken. I did not know that. Possibly if I did. So this is an opportunity. Blindness due to glaucoma is preventable. Yeah. So it's to catch it early. And then just keep checking in your yearly checks.
Very, very, very important message there. Olawale, you live with cerebral palsy.
Yes.
And you've lived with that all your life, I believe.
Yes.
Living in a country like this, as a physically sort of, I don't know, how has it been? I can't even imagine. For us, it's crazy, so I can't imagine what you go through.
Well, cerebral palsy basically impaired mobility.
Yeah.
So you can imagine someone impaired mobile,
Yeah.
in terms of mobility, having to struggle with our almighty roads. So, normally, cerebral palsy is not progressive.
Yes.
But today I'm using a walking stick. 5 years ago, I wasn't using that. Not because cerebral palsy is progressing, but because physical wear and tear is setting it due to our almighty roads, like I said.
Are you saying if you were living in a different place, would the walking stick not have come in by now?
It might not have surfaced.
Okay.
Because you're going into an hotel And because they are socially inclined, the first thing is they're offering you,
A
do
wheelchair.
you want the lift or the wheelchair? You're going to the shopping mall, same thing. You're going to the bank. Everybody is just inclusive inclined.
Yeah.
But in Nigeria,
Yeah.
nothing else.
And it becomes very difficult to have this conversation because, I mean, people like to say, oh, we have so many problems in Nigeria that it's almost impossible to even think about these things. Do you think that's a fair way to see it? Because it's almost like government doesn't, I mean, I know a couple of years ago, they tried to build one or two overhead bridges that were sort of disabled compliant, but do you see any sort of intent from those who should be doing these things? Even the private sector, like he mentioned hotels and all of that. Do you see that?
Well, I think the first thing is to remind everybody that, when people think about persons with disability, people like to think about people who are born with it or people who, they don't just really know what's going on and they would rather be detached or disassociated from it.
Yeah.
But it's just to remind everyone that, sometimes it takes only just one incident, one wrong drug, one accident,
And it could be anybody.
one misdiagnosis. So that is why there's a massive push to mainstream everything inclusive, because in taking care of those, not only do you take care of people who are currently needing that support, and even the elderly, people will transit anyway, it's really a matter of time, whichever aspect you look at it. So if we mainstream solutions, make sure ramps are the right kind of gradient, for example, make sure that there are sign language interpreters everywhere for anywhere someone who is hearing impaired would like to go, and make sure that people, when they do ask for help, are supported appropriately. We're actually sorting it out for all of us, not just those some allegedly disadvantaged people.
Yeah. I know you run something called Follow Dissect campaign. What is that? What is that exactly?
So the disability, there has been, okay, let's go back to the fact that the UN has a charter for persons with disability, that is in place. And they have asked all countries signing up to this charter to please ratify it in their different countries. We had the pleasure of having our president, while he was on his campaign then, on the 23rd of January, it was signed in Nigeria. Now, that act today, fine, it's signed, 23rd of January. Some things are in place, which means that for today, we can sue anyone who is not complying to the content of the act. So there's an opportunity to ask everybody, go download it. I mean, there's a lot of good information there, both for persons with disability and for persons who do not want to run foul of the law. There are other things that need to come from that act also. Like, for example, there needs to be a specific commission set up, which has a budget allocation to drive matters of making sure the content of that act is properly implemented. So Project Enable Africa has chosen to be one of the champions of this cause. They've rallied around to find the appropriate people to continue to shine a light on this matter so that, yes, it is signed, but what next is the what next we're pursuing. And that is why hashtag follow this act to make sure that it comes fully to be, to come into full force, yes.
I know, what is the biggest misconception that you think people with disabilities face from people? What is the biggest thing?
Well, the biggest misconception is driven by our traditional beliefs, our religious beliefs.
Okay.
It's maybe the mother worked at night with the pregnancy around 12 a.m., 1 p.m.
Oh, wow. People have said things like that to you.
So the demons passing probably entered into the stomach, and that's why it's giving birth. We have so many notions that perhaps the child is a snake. So the best thing, just put him in the bush, you see the real nature.
Yeah.
So we have so many. And just to button into what you do, I think we should understand one thing. Disability is simply an impairment caused by accident, age, hereditary, and a medical condition. So we all fall within all this spectrum.
Yeah.
You will age one day, life happens, accident.
Yeah.
We have she had glaucoma.
Yeah.
So once we undo that, then we move to the next phase.
Yeah.
People living with disability it's not a matter of charity. It's our right.
Yeah.
In fact, the Convention of the UN clearly states that it shouldn't be like a welfare program for the government. It's their right. It's to protect their prestige.
Yeah. I don't, sorry to cut you in there. I was reading somewhere that you suggested that people who discriminate against people who living with disabilities should be criminalized or something along those lines.
Yeah, I said so because we need to influence the language being used.
Yeah.
My auntie was telling me that in the US, they have a way of, they send task force to families of parents that have kids with disability to check the emotional attachment, the language being used, and they act on it.
Yeah.
But in Nigeria, our language is so foul.
People say, call you names.
Yoruba, for example, we have some terms that we use that if used on you. The problem with us is that we are not developing per chance, per time. In Yoruba, once upon a time, video was Asoro Magbesi. But now there's podcast, so some can be talking, you are replying. Yeah. But what's the
term for it?
Transformation that we are?
I think just to jump in, I think what is missing is a lot of awareness, whether we like it or not. Even if we look at the demographics that make up who are the people alive today in any space. So we're taking this unique country, Nigeria. So we still have people in the baby bloomer phase of things. They're in their 60s and above. They're the ones that are more with the nuances of what culture used to be and the norms of then and the associated stigmas of then, because there were some things that were not done or not seen. And so largely anyone who had a child in that time will hide a child living with disability. In fact, even family members might not even know that that person exists. But now, today, we now have people who are more Gen X people who are now parents, who are giving birth to children with disability, who are exploring medical options, and who are standing up and advocating. Yes. So shout out to all parents of persons living with disability. They are very few, but they are very strong. And as they tell their stories, other people would see that that child is not a curse, but rather that child has their rights to interaction, a right to living with dignity, a right to an opportunity to learn, to earn, and which is why productivity is also a huge part of what Project Enable does, which is empowering people with 21st century skills, like digital skills, to make sure. And like I tell persons with disability across the space, or even caregivers of persons with disability who do not give them access today, we tell them that this is the best time ever to be living with disability, because you can imagine you could be a blogger. Nobody needs to see you. So that stigma that feeling of discomfort that a person has, that a potential buyer or a person wants to patronize you, could have, is not there. It doesn't exist. So we want to get people up to skills whereby they can now do social media marketing. They can support whatever business that is non-core to you. And because you don't see them.
I was going to ask about that because, like I said, you're an engineer. I think you're a realtor, you did say. About with the workspace as a whole and even employment and how that works, with regards to just inclusion in Nigeria. Because is it a case of, offices having a set target? Do you find that people turn you back when you try to pitch for things? How bad is it here?
Okay, so for me, I would speak from the fact of someone who transited, who was already high-skilled, who was already in a career, and who continued to go on 12 more years in that space, fully empowered by my organization. It was a multinational. So, for multinationals, for them, they have their code, which is driven from their home country. So having inclusive to be, look, it was a performance space. As long as you're performing, you are still relevant, you are still on board. I mean, in that time, I still got to work as an expatriate in a different country for like 3 years, came back to come and manage a region of multiple countries in Nigeria. So it was more about performance. But again, I could not tell you that in my company then, that there was any explicit communication that said persons with disability are welcome. Rather, the support was because as a high performer, what did you need, Dolapo, to get your work done? But the workplace is transiting. Even the future of work is different. A lot of us are doing work out of virtual offices and virtual spaces. Yeah. And then there's already a lot of groups are doing a lot of work with employers of labor, and even the labor force itself, their engagements with the HR community, whereby the conversations are there that, number one, guys, the president has signed in something 23rd of January, and there is now a quota that should be considered.
So we need to meet it.
Yes, and even if due to the need of high skills, you might not be able to source person with disability to meet that quota, your value chain, your supply chain, you could be intentional about partnering with persons who have an eye on persons with disability, because the average person with disability just wants an opportunity to earn.
What's your experience? What's your experience with regards to work and just employment?
Well, I'm a graduate of international law and diplomacy, Babcock University. Before now, I applied for job foreign officer 1 from the Federal Commission, but I realized there was no platform to employ based on competence. Okay. I just said, okay, let me look for a system that can work. All I have to do is leverage on what does not limit me.
Exactly.
So I went into digital marketing, affiliate marketing. I started with Jumia first. As a Jumia agent, advertising for them, earning commission, before I discover a system, a new set of guys that have introduced another system to real estate marketing, that they don't need you to, you can sell land, you can market people, you can close deals, you are good to go. And thank God, at least I made a sale, my first deal, 6 plots of land.
Nice.
I mean, imagine if I hadn't found that platform, perhaps someone that look at me, cerebral palsy, work in my enterprise? No.
Yeah. How important is family in all of this?
Oh, very important. I grew up not even knowing I had any issue of one.
Yeah.
Like I say, I just knew I had a drunken master who works. I never knew I had a slow speed, but it's like everything was okay. I wanted to grow. I like self-development. So I wanted to grow up.
So they were really there for you. And
they just, they never questioned why you going for seminar on forex exchange, on wealth creation. They were just there. And friends of my family were my friends. They were just everything to me. And
so
that's
very important.
Most important.
But before we go now, we just have a minute to go. I just want to, I want you to help me wrap this up now.
Okay.
What do you want to see? I mean, we're starting a new year, like I said. 2020 was supposed to be the golden year for Nigeria. I don't know where that document is right now, but what do you want to see from government, from private sector? We have a National Disability Act. I don't know. What do you want to see going forward, quickly?
From government, we want them to do the needful, put the commission in place, put the budget in place so that people can run with the next steps. For the private sector, keep in mind that you have an amazing pipeline of talent in the disability pool. Give an opportunity.
And to Nigerians?
To Nigerians, look, you know what? Be your brother's keeper. You don't know, you can't tell. Just be fair and be kind. And I think we'll all have a
Kindness
much better...
is such a great virtue.
Can I add to it? Then starting from there, let's have a trend. There are penalties for doing that, but does the police know that? Does the person in charge of the civil service, does he know the reason why the structure should be disability friendly? So first, train a new set of training, then let them start. Why should our president not have someone with disability perhaps handling his social media account?
That would be cool.
That would be cool.
So that's a challenge to government.
Once you start from them,
inclusion.
the Senate president, they are seeing it, Because for now, people feel, can anything come out of us?
Well,
So which is why, I mean, that hashtag is really important. So hashtag follow this act.
Please follow
hashtag follow Dissect. Thank you very much, guys. I mean, time is never enough, but it's such an impressive conversation. Hopefully, we can continue this conversation next year. And I like the challenge to government. I think that's very, very important. So thanks a lot for being here today. Yes. We'll take a quick break now. We'll be right back. Please don't go away.